Yeah.
That was pretty good. I didn't put it on though.
I know. But he put on that we were talking about how I flexed on camera.
Yeah. Just made everybody confused.
Thanks.
Alright, you ready? Okay. Hey everybody, this is Jared Escalada, and this is episode 22 of Thrive TV. And today, we are continuing our macronutrient talks that we will continue with Trevis. Last week we talked about carbohydrates and how they're processed in the body and a couple of options that you can use as opposed to the ones that you probably eat on a regular basis. Today, it looks like we're covering protein.
For my teleprompter.
Yeah. So we'll talk about proteins today. I'm not going to give away what we're talking about because I can see it all. I'll let Trevis tell everybody.
Okay.
All right. So let's go over protein today.
Okay, so let's begin with the definition of what protein is. Proteins are amino acids, that's their smallest unit, all strung together and by a chemical bond that holds them all together, and they are essentially the building blocks of life. They begin their digestion in our stomachs, and it's completed in the small intestine, and then from there it goes out into the general circulation. Your liver is the primary site of amino acid uptake, and we have 12 non-essential amino acids, which mean that our bodies can make these on their own, and then we have 8 essential amino acids that we need to extract from the food that we take in. That's very important for plant-based eaters, to make sure that...
So non-essential you can't get, your body doesn't make.
Your body will not make those. You have to get those from your food intake. So let's talk about, you've heard of complete proteins and incomplete proteins. So a complete protein source are your animal meats, fish, poultry, beef. For plant-based eaters who, that's what they call vegetarians, vegans, and all of that group put together. Their complete protein sources, for example, would be quinoa, hemp seeds, chia seeds. Incomplete sources of protein for all of us are nuts and seeds. So peanut butter, almond butter, those are not complete sources of protein. Legumes.
So for those that don't understand, what's a complete and a non-complete protein? A
complete protein means that you get everything that your body needs. It's a complete. All the amino acids are there in the right proportions that your body can take in and use. If it's incomplete, they're not all in there.
Some amino acids
are missing, or they may not be in the proportion that they need to be. So does that make sense? So incomplete sources would be legumes. People always ask me about eating those, and they think that those are a good protein source, and they're really not. They're incomplete. So we'll get further into the talk when we talk about combining proteins together to be able to create a complete protein source, and that's crucial for vegetarians and vegans to do. So next, let's talk about the benefits of protein. I believe, and it's out there in the literature, that it is number one for weight loss. And a side effect of when you're trying to drop fat is that you will lose muscle also in the process. So
if you're not weightlifting.
Well,
if you're not weight training.
Right. But
most of the time.
Even weight training, it's just a side effect of that. So to try to prevent and hold on to your lean muscle mass while you're trying to lose fat is it's crucial to weight lift and to take in enough protein. It's what makes up our structure. It makes our, we have cells dying off every day, and the protein that we eat helps go in and recreate the cells and repair the muscle damage from weightlifting and working out. It's key for lean muscle mass gain. Without enough protein, you're not going to be able to put on any muscle. It's needed for hormone regulation and enzyme production in our body, and it's important for our immune system.
So we talked about that before. That was 2 weeks ago that we talked about metabolism. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So the first one was about metabolism and exercise, and then when Trevis and I talked about metabolism, she went over nutrition, and part of the talk was about how protein, because of your body's having to break it down, assimilate how much harder it is,
right.
how much more energy your body has to burn in order to break down the protein,
right?
Which is why it's such a good fat burner,
right? So for weight loss, a higher protein diet will increase your satiety. You'll be more satisfied. It decreases cravings, they say, by 60%. It's very filling. It increases your satiety hormones while it's dropping down your hunger hormones. That's one of the effects that a higher protein diet has. Increased thermic effect, which means that your body will just burn calories digesting the protein, that it boosts your metabolism just in and of itself for that effect. And a higher protein diet naturally reduces your overall caloric intake. So while you're losing fat, increased protein helps prevent muscle loss, which we just talked about a little bit ago. So it's really a crucial macronutrient when you're trying to drop weight or even build muscle and put it on. Correlating along with carbohydrates, protein also, different types of protein can get into your bloodstream faster, just like the higher GI or glycemic index carbohydrates. And then there's proteins that are lower and slower getting into your system. So that's important for like bodybuilders when they, lift a lot of heavy weight. They, want to get that protein shake in right away, because whey protein is one of the proteins that gets right into your bloodstream rapidly. Eggs is another example of that. And then the ones that get in slower would be your meats, your dairies. That's a slower burning protein and takes longer to get into your bloodstream. So people always ask, well, how much protein should I eat in a day? That's really based on your goals and your activity level. For somebody who's sedentary, sitting around, doesn't do much, you don't need as much protein as a person who's working out, even just training as a recreational exerciser, as opposed to an athlete, say, who's, doing 2-a-days and working out every single day.
Training hard.
Right. So the minimum amount, because there's constant turnover of protein in our bodies, is recommended at 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, whereas an athlete might need 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you have to base your protein intake on your goals and your activity level. And the other thing you want to make sure you do, because it's constantly being turned over in the body, is to spread it out across the day. So you want to make sure that you take in protein every time you sit down and eat. I think that's crucial too. It helps keep you full and keeps you from, binging and overeating your next meal. So here's your question.
Uh-oh.
I always have to involve him because I'm asked this all the time. Do you think you can eat too much protein? And what about osteoporosis, kidneys, the effect on your kidneys and your liver? What do you think?
I've never read anything that has convinced me that let me step back. So can you eat too much protein? Yes, you can. With everything, even vegetables, there's a point of diminishing returns. It doesn't, with everything. You can have too many vegetables. This thing right here is a perfect, and it's a whole nother issue in itself. You can't see this because it's almost gone, but I had a histamine intolerance issue and developed this red dot on my face. So essentially I was getting psoriasis from high histamine. It was from eating food. I was eating sauerkraut every day.
Every meal.
Sauerkraut's great for your gut, not when you eat it every day. So I was eating it every day and I did it for a long period of time. So I developed a histamine issue and it's taken me a long time to get it under control. So there's a point of diminishing returns to everything. Now, in my opinion, it is hard, especially for the regular person, to get close to that point. A bodybuilder, maybe, someone who is really, bodybuilders, power lifters, anybody who's really into that. I hate to say meathead type of mentality, but anybody who's in that type of mentality. But for the average person to be able to get close to that, like too much protein, it's like the regular person, it's nearly, I don't want to say it's impossible, it's just hard to do.
Well, I look at it like this. You can sit down and you can eat, you could eat a whole bowl of mashed potatoes. You can't sit down and eat
3 chicken breasts or 4 chicken.
You're stuffed.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So.
And that's a good point. And that leads to the kidney issue. I've seen a couple of things about protein intake and kidneys, but again, you're talking about that too much area, and that's just it's just a huge amount that most people just, because it makes you so full, most people just can't get to. And then it's also about balance, right? So if all you're eating is protein, and you're not having vegetables and fats and the things that we talk about, then there's a better chance that it might affect you in negative ways.
Well, they talk about protein. Too much protein can make your blood acidic. Where if if you combine vegetables with that, then they're alkalizing and they're going to balance that all out.
Absolutely,
that's absolutely what it is.
You're 100% right.
So I think that as long as you are a healthy average person who has good kidney function and good liver function, I honestly don't believe that you need to worry about taking in too much protein. It's just nearly impossible, like you said. So I do want to cover about plant-based eaters, because I've had friends who, they just want to go on a vegetarian diet. They're tired of eating meat, and honestly, my advice to people is that's not something that you just want to take upon yourself and do. You really need to research that, and you potentially need, I think, guidance to do that, because you, by not combining things appropriately, you can create deficiencies in your body that once they, you may not notice that at first, but once they're gone, they're gone. And you have to work to recover that. So the number one thing that plant-based eaters would be deficient in by giving up animal protein is lysine. And if you're deficient in lysine, that's not a good thing. So you have to look at putting your proteins together. For example, rice and beans. Rice and beans together are a complete protein source, because rice is low in lysine. So if you eat a diet where you're eating a lot of grains and cereals and rice, you're going to create this lysine deficiency. But if you put beans with that, they're high in lysine. The other thing that if you're putting in a lot of grains and cereals into your diet, you are going to be high in tryptophan, which is another amino acid. And beans are low in that, so they complement each other. So you want to put those kind of things together, so you're getting a complete protein source, and you are trying to avoid creating any kind of deficiency in your body. And if you're plant-based, you want to make sure that you eat a wide variety of different fruits and vegetables, and don't center your diet all on fruit or all on processed things and cereals and grains, or you're going to create some issues for yourself.
And that's on a much smaller micro scale as well. Like it's beyond just protein,
right?
And that's, from our perspective, we're talking being able to be healthy from a nutrition perspective and from a training perspective, but on a much smaller level, you're talking vitamins and minerals and other things that you're going to miss out on. Because a lot of vegetarians do eat pastas and grains and pastas and grains and potatoes and pastas and I'm repeating myself, but there's a reason, because that's what they do.
That's the center of their diet.
And it's not that it's bad. It's so much more than just like, oh, I want to stop eating meat.
Right, it definitely is. And they recommend for plant-based eaters that they should definitely eat half a cup of legumes a day. Just that will help with your lysine issue. So
all right, that was good.
Okay,
good stuff. All right, quick one today. So that means if we covered carbs last week and we covered protein this week, that means next week we get to talk about fats, which is a scary topic for a lot of people, because we have been taught by the authority that fats are bad and that fats make you fat. But maybe you'll learn otherwise.
I think so.
So if you guys have any questions, you can reach Trevis at her email, Trevis, Treves, at thriveforstrength.com, or Thrive Nutrition on
Facebook
and Instagram, or Thrive Fitness if you have any questions for us, at the Thrive Pack on Twitter. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.